much. Let's do gratitude and
Yeah.
let's you start. You talk.
Sure. Okay, so my gratitude this week is iTerm2, which is an app I'm sure that we've mentioned on previous gratitudes, but this is one that, despite the fact that this has been my, basically default like terminal emulator for I don't even know how long, right? Like I have it in my dock on all of my machines. It is one of the very first things I install on any new Mac. There's nothing wrong with Terminal.app at all, but like iTerm2 is
There's
just fucking better.
and Warp is a good app,
Yeah.
but it's really just trying to keep up with iTerm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
iTerm is free.
iTerm is free, in every sense of the word, right? Like it's actually, um, like completely open source. Like I think like a GPL like V3, I think even like, and it's
With a vibrant community around it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, this is actually kind of one of the reasons that I wanted to bring it up. So, about a month ago, iTerm2 introduced like a pretty big update, that had been in the works for like some of the features had been in the works for years, but basically version 3.5 came out, and the one of the, I guess, kind of main like kind of like headline features was the fact that as an option there was a new AI feature that was not enabled by default, that if you wanted to go into your settings you could add in
An
an
API
OpenAI
key.
yeah, an
Yeah.
OpenAI API key, and you could basically use basically like kind of have kind of like a way to chat with your terminal. So to bring in some features that are very similar to some of the things that you can do with Warp. So like there's Fig, which basically had like, kind of like a, generative AI kind of terminal, command line thing. There's Warp. There are like a lot of these tools that are adding these things in, so that the GitHub CLI has a Copilot component. It built into that now, that started out as a different extension. So you can basically use natural language in your terminal and get really good things back. And this is a useful like case for generative AI, because like terminal man pages are really really great with this. Like I don't have to think about like what's the process of writing an FFmpeg script to do this or to do something else or to use image magic. Like there are a lot of services that are really great just to be able to talk to your terminal about that. And so iTerm2 introduced this feature. I thought they did it in a pretty great way. It was certainly not installed by default, and was nothing was at risk. Um, some very vocal members of the community, who I don't even know how much these people actually used the application, to be honest, looking at some of the things, lost their shit. Like when, like I get it. Maybe you don't like AI stuff. Fine, that's fine. Keep in mind this is free software in every sense of the word. It is both open source and it is actually free as in gratis. That this guy who's built this app that so many of us rely on, like doesn't like make direct money off of. Basically, gets support contracts, or it's from people like Brett and myself who are now donating to the cause. But people lost their fucking shit and were really gross and were saying like really negative things about the dev, and it was ridiculous. And he was like, look, these issues have been here. Like I've been working on some of these features for like over 2 years. Like this wasn't hidden from anybody. Like people were going to these ridiculous like links to the agreements. Oh, you're in the shitification of everything. And I'm like, you don't even fucking know what the word means. Like, I get that everybody
Right.
wants to say that everything's been shitified. And I'm like, this is not an example of that, right? Like, Cory Doctorow
It's really
would not
not.
agree with that. It's really not.
Or
Any,
what's his name with the rot economy?
yeah,
Ed Zitron. Like
yeah,
this does not apply. None of this applies.
not even remotely. So what the developer did, because of the backlash, came forward and was like, fine, I'll rip the feature out. I will release it as a separate plugin that you can install and enable. And once you have it installed and you put in your OpenAI, API key, then you can, put in kind of your prompt and you can, choose your model, and that's fine. I actually think though that the feature is pretty cool, and it's one of those things where you can write in natural language, but you can also kind of have a preview of like what things would look like if you wanted your terminal to do it, for you, which obviously most people aren't going to trust, but it's it'll show you what needs to happen, and you can talk in like natural language through a chat menu, like with your terminal, which I think is pretty fucking cool. But even without the AI stuff, I just what what that whole drama kind of highlighted for me, I was like, oh, I get a tremendous amount of value from this app and I don't pay for it. So I do now. I'm one of his GitHub sponsors.